Well, what is happening on Instagram and FitFam? And in today's video, I'm gonna take a deep dive and discuss how to achieve a body recomposition and what exactly is body recomposition. So, body recomposition is essentially building muscle and simultaneously burning body fat. And a lot of the time, that is a goal that many clients of mine have. I'm sure as well, anybody watching this, that would be an ideal goal to achieve. I mean, who doesn't want to build muscle and strip body fat at the same time? So, before I get into the ways to go about achieving body recomposition, I'm just gonna outline who would fall under this category and who would achieve it or who would be most likely to achieve it. Having said that, though, I will say from the outset that for the vast majority of people, you can achieve body recomposition to a varying degrees. Again, I'll touch on why some people will achieve it at a much more quicker pace than others. So first off, beginners to training. The gains you can make as a beginner are the type of gains you will never make again unless you maybe hop on a cycle of steroids. For men and women, you can build a lot of muscle, a lot of strength, and strip body fat at quite a significant pace, and to quite a significant degree. It's not unheard of that within 6 months to a year of training, a man can gain at least 20 pounds of muscle, if not more. And for women, that can be half that. While also stripping body fat and completely transforming your physique. So the other group of people that would often achieve body recomposition would be, say, obese people. Obviously, in particular, if they're beginners as well. The thing about obese people is they have a lot of energy, a lot of potential energy, stored in excess body fat that can essentially be used to fuel muscle growth while stripping body fat. So if you think about excess body fat as being stores of energy, whenever you begin to engage in strength training and work out, essentially what happens is energy or calories can be drawn out of the stored body fat and can be used to fuel your muscle growth while also stripping body fat. And the same applies to a lesser degree in people who are a wee bit leaner but are beginners. The same sort of thing happens. The third group of people who can achieve body recomposition would be people who are detrained, and that can be for a variety of reasons. It can be, probably most common of all, would be due to an injury that has forced you to stop training. Maybe you fell out of love with training as well is another common reason to be detrained. And responsibilities and things in life just getting in the way, can often be another reason why people stop training and become detrained. But often whenever they begin to train again, they'll gain back what they've lost, they'll build muscle and they'll strip the excess body fat they might have gained. The last two groups of individuals who would fall in this category of achieving body recomposition would be people on steroids. That kind of speaks for itself. Anabolic steroids just completely changed the landscape of what is possible when it comes to building muscle strength, burning body fat. So the final group of people would be people who are what would be termed suboptimal trainees, people who aren't training optimally, diet optimally, and I certainly was someone who fell into that category. When I started training, I was not training optimally. I wasn't following the program consistently. I wasn't being consistent with my nutrition. I wasn't eating enough calories to fuel muscle growth. I was just fucking around in the gym and was doing things very randomly, arbitrarily, and like I said, not being consistent. And whenever I began to dial in my training, my nutrition, my stress management, my sleep, and correct supplementation, I seen phenomenal gains. And I really, and this was at maybe 4 or 5 years into my training experience, and fitness journey, I really did begin to, I would probably say, make my beginner gains, even though I had been training 4 or 5 years. I just was training suboptimally. And there might be many people who are watching this who fall into that category, and it really just is a case of dialing in your training, like I said, and your nutrition, sleep, stress management, and following a program consistently as well. A good solid program that is effective and has been proven and is time tested. So I'm going to outline 5 key steps that will help you achieve body recomposition. And the first and most important step is your training is the driving force or the stimulus behind your results. So you aren't going to achieve your results if you don't train. And in particular, your focus should obviously be on strength training. Strength training really is the key driver of building muscle, building strength, and also shedding body fat. Because whenever you do strength training, and as well do your conditioning, do your cardiovascular training to keep your heart healthy and things like that. But when you begin to build muscle via strength training and shed body fat, you're essentially like the whole point of this video is you're reconfiguring your body composition. You're dropping fat mass and you're replacing that fat mass with lean muscle tissue. So the second key step to making body recomposition work for you is you have to pick a primary goal or a primary focus. You can't really say, right, I want to build muscle and burn fat on a sort of equal basis or equivalent sort of basis. You do have to have a more primary focus. So often a good way to sort of ascertain whether you should choose building muscle as your primary focus or shedding body fat as your primary focus would be to base it on how lean you are. So if you're a man and you are between 8 and 12% body fat, which is pretty ripped, like you'll have a visible six pack even at 10% body fat, even at 12% body fat, you'll be looking better than 90% of people. Whenever you're that lean, you should focus on building muscle. And for girls, it's about 18 to 22% body fat that you should, when you're that lean, that's very lean for a girl, so you should focus on building muscle whenever you're that lean as a girl. But, you know, the whole point of this video is you can build muscle and stay lean in the process. And in terms of what you would do then is you would center, the third step is centering your calories around maintenance. But what you would do is you would calorie cycle. So say, for example, in your training days, you would eat more calories than your maintenance. So you would essentially be in a surplus. Then on the rest days that you have, you would probably maybe set your calories to maintenance level. So what you're essentially doing is you're creating a small surplus that will really fuel muscle growth and at the same time minimize fat gain. And if you do it right, you probably shouldn't gain any fat really. Any sort of body weight you gain should be lean muscle tissue. And in terms of how big the surplus, the calorie surplus should be on your training days, it should be around 10 to 20%, maximum 20% of your calories. And that would apply for both men and women. So on the other side of the coin, if you are maybe not as lean, so if you're a guy and you're maybe 15 to 20% body fat, but you're looking to build muscle and shed fat, well, your primary focus should be to shed fat, should be to torch body fat. If you're a female and you're maybe 25 to 30% body fat, then your primary focus should be on stripping body fat, but you will also gain muscle as well. And like I touched on about the building muscle, you should cycle your calories. So when you're training days, you can eat a bit more. I would probably say aim for maintenance calories. Then on your rest days, you can run a slight calorie deficit, ranging from 10 to a maximum of 20% of your total calories. That's the percent that you should run for your calorie deficit. So I've outlined 3 of the steps. So the fourth step would be to dial in your macronutrients. So for most goals when it comes to fitness, your focus should be on total calories and protein intake. those things are really the key. Now, obviously, ensuring you have an ample amount of healthy fat is important as well. After that, you can fill the calories in with carbs. So, as long as your focus is on ensuring you get your calories in and ensuring you have an optimum protein intake, aiming for maybe a gram of protein per pound of lean body weight and 30 grams of protein at every meal. And as well as that is another wee, maybe a segue, but it's important. This is an important point to me. I really want to emphasize this point, especially when it comes to body recomposition. But it applies not just for body recomposition, but for any sort of goal when it comes to fitness or just for your general health. There was a study done in 2018 by a team of researchers, Wang et al., if you want to look up the study. And they looked at two groups of people. And both groups were in a calorie deficit and were looking to lose body fat. However, one group slept optimally. They got their 8 hours sleep. The other group were slightly sleep deprived. So I think it was 5 days out of the week, they got maybe 7 hours, 6 hours sleep. And then at the weekends, they were allowed to catch up on the sleep. What they found in that study was that the group who slept optimally, got their 8 hours sleep, 85% of the body weight that they lost was fat. However, the group who were sleep deprived, I think it was 87% of the body weight that they lost was lean mass, not fat, lean mass, which is not what we want. Now, we caveat that study, the individuals who were in that study were not doing strength training, so that is something to bear in mind. If those individuals in that study were people who strength train regularly, it probably would have offset the loss of lean mass in the group that lost the lean mass. But nonetheless, I would say that even if they were strength training, they still would have lost a significant amount of lean mass. And even if they didn't lose lean mass, they would have completely hindered their body's ability to oxidize fat, in other words, burn fat, and they would have really slowed down the progress. Their energy would have tanked, their mood would have tanked, their strength would have tanked as well in the gym. So bottom line is sleep is so important for fat loss, for building muscle, for building strength, and for most important of all, your general health and your longevity. So fucking get your sleep, like. The fifth final step to achieving body recomposition is just be fucking consistent. Be consistent. Do your workouts. Follow a well-proven, effective program that maybe is orientated towards body recomposition. There's many programs out there. You have Wender 531, you have Starting Strength 5x5, you have Mad Cow 5x5, you have the Taxes method. Those are really effective strength programs. You can listen, if your thing's bodybuilding, go for it, do a solid bodybuilding program. If your thing's powerlifting, do a powerlifting program, whatever it may be, even if you do CrossFit, whatever it is. But if you follow those 5 steps, you will ensure that you achieve body recomposition. And like I said, it is something that the vast majority of people can achieve. Even people who are advanced and have a lot of training experience can actually achieve body recomposition, just to a lesser degree than, say, a beginner. I know myself, like I've been training for 10 years. Maybe the past 4 or 5 years I've really dialed in the training and things like that. But when I'm in top 9 nutrition and my training, I find that I can actually strip body fat and build muscle at the same time. It's just at a slower sort of rate than maybe when I was a beginner. So I hope this video has been informative. I hope it's cleared up a couple of myths and misconceptions around the notion of, oh, can I build muscle and lose fat at the same time? Because I've heard people say to me, oh, you can't do it, you can't do both at the same time. And there was a sort of prevailing notion for a while in the fitness industry that it was maybe difficult to do both. And I've heard people say, oh, the only way you can do that is by taking drugs, by taking steroids. And that's simply not true. Like I said, if you're a beginner, detrained athlete, somebody who's a lot of body fat, you're training suboptimally, you can certainly achieve it. You can certainly strip body fat and build muscle. So thanks for watching. Hope it's been informative. Appreciate it. Love y'all.